So we got home and started setting up appointments. Our first appointment we got was for the EEG, and my pediatrician said, well, everything will probably be fine, but if there's anything wrong, I will give you a call and let you know. And 2 days later, my phone rang and the caller ID was my pediatrician, and my heart just dropped because I knew there was seizure activity in the EEG. So then it was waiting for neurologists. So then we had to get on the list for a neurologist. In our area, and I think a lot of places, it takes a long time to see one. So we just picked the first one that had availability. This first neurologist, she was really great. Her bedside manner was so kind and caring, but she was not a specialist in epilepsy. And she told us he did officially have epilepsy because he had 2 recorded seizures, the tonic-clonic on the beach, and then the EEG counted as his second seizure. And then we also told her about the absent seizures that we have been seeing. So she started him on Keppra, which normally and typically it's only for tonic-clonics, but this doctor wanted to try it. She said there is a chance it could help with the absent seizures. And then she also wanted him to do a blowing EEG just to confirm that he was having those absent seizures. And in the meantime, we were doing the Keppra, and that was not helping the absent seizures at all. But he was probably having about 10 a day at that point. And so we just waited. We thought, well, we'll just wait. We'll get this EEG done. And in the meantime, I was looking for a new neurologist. However, the Keppra did make him very sad and do some dangerous things and pull away from us a little bit emotionally. He started to seek out things that would give him a rush. One day I couldn't find him. I was looking everywhere and I'm like, where did your brother go, you guys? Like, I can't find him. And so my kids helped me. We started looking all over the house. Then we started looking all over outside. And we finally found him on the side of the house. He had climbed the house and was sitting on this small little ledge right below the roof and was just hanging out there. And we were like, why did you do this? And he said, well, I was just bored and it seemed like a good idea. And so we had to go get a ladder so he could get down. And then another thing he did was we went to have a family picnic, and we were all sitting around the picnic table eating, and he went to the side and started licking his fingers and just staring off into space. So the Keppra was really not good. Not a good drug for him, but we kind of just endured it because we were glad he wasn't having the clonic-tonic seizures. And then we went to go get the blowing EEG to confirm the absent seizures. And for the blowing EEG, they have you blow on a pinwheel for 3 minutes. We were told by the doctor it's really easy, it's no big deal, you're just going to blow on it. But it turns out it is the full hour-long EEG. And so we went in, and when he started the blowing part, they tell you just blow on this, and it's supposed to make you hyperventilate, and then that will trigger the absent seizures. So he ended up having several absent seizures during the blowing, and even during the blowing, he was gone. The text would call out a word like the color blue, and he was supposed to say blue if he wasn't having a seizure. But if he was having one, he wouldn't say it because he wouldn't hear it. And so they're calling out words and he's not hearing them, not saying them. And he ended up having a really long seizure. And during that entire seizure, he's blowing and blowing and blowing. And so it ended up being about 45 seconds. And I was looking for my son to the tech, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, he's completely gone. And then the tech started to get worried, and he started yelling his name and telling him, stop blowing, you're done, you don't have to blow anymore. But he couldn't hear him because of the seizure. So at one point, the tech ran to his side and was getting ready, I think, for him to have a tonic-clonic seizure. It looked like he was going to go into one. I'm sure if he hadn't had the Keppra on board, he would have. But thankfully, he came out of the absent seizure. We left that blowing EEG feeling so traumatized. I was traumatized just by seeing him go through that. And then my son was in so much pain, like his whole chest and lungs and everything hurt and just ached from that. He did that full 3 minutes of blowing because he couldn't stop. And it was horrible. That was probably one of the worst tests that we've had done. He was exhausted the rest of that day. He was really upset about the whole process and like what had happened. So that, and then the strange thing was, after that EEG, his absent seizures increased dramatically. He started to have at least, I would say, 100 a day. We, a couple days later, went to his new high school to walk the campus, and he was going to get to see where his classes were. And he was having so many seizures during that process of just walking from one class to another. He couldn't remember where he was or where the classes were or which class was which class. And we had to walk it over and over again before he was like, okay, I think I kind of know where these are. And then a few days after that, we were at home and I was helping him pack his backpack for school. And it was gonna be like a 5-minute, okay, here's your papers you need, here's a couple books we've gotten, let's put them in your backpack and get organized. But it ended up being 30 minutes long because it was like every sentence I would say, he would have a seizure and I would have to repeat it over and over and over again, just repeating this conversation so that he could get it because he was missing so many parts. So at the end of that like half hour, I just realized this is not going to work. He can't go to school like this. So I called his principal and said, you know, we can't. And thankfully the school had a homeschool program. So we moved him into the homeschool program for high school so that we could work on just getting his medications straightened out. And then I was able to get him a new neurologist who specialized in epilepsy and was highly recommended. So we switched to her, but we had to wait about 6 weeks to see her. And then once we got to see her, her goal was for him to get on one medication instead of on the two he was on that they weren't working. He was uncontrolled. His absent seizures were completely uncontrolled anyway. So she wanted to take him off Keppra, and the old neurologist had also added ethosuximide when his absent seizures had increased so much. So he's on those two drugs, and our new neurologist decided to take him off those and get him on Depakote. And so then it was 5 more weeks of weaning off of the Keppra and the ethosuximide and weaning onto the Depakote. That was a really long, hard process too. All 3 of those are depressants. And so it was a rough 5 weeks. Like, he was a little bit depressed before, but now it was like no more smiling, just feeling down all the time. He didn't want to do anything. He just wanted to sit all day. It was really trying time, but he's been on the Depakote for about 3 weeks and we haven't seen any seizure activity for about 2.5 weeks. So we are really excited that we're seeing, you know, him stop having seizures and he's feeling better. He's getting better sleep and he's kind of waking up from that fog that the Keppra put him in and becoming like more of himself. He's smiling more, he's talking with us more, and becoming a little bit more who he was before. So we're really excited about that. And now he's going to try to go to school next semester now that we're getting them more under control. So that is where we are at now. And is there anything you want to say, Liz, before we say goodbye? I think we'll stop this now and then do questions for our next video.
Yep, sounds great. Your story's not over.
Your story's just begun.